start talking to your kids about some of the things that are a little bit uncomfortable to talk about, such as predators. For the most part, parents don't want to scare the crap out of their children. I mean, I certainly don't. I haven't, but it's something that people just don't know how to talk to their kids about because it is a topic that most parents just don't know how to approach. How do you tell your child, look, there's some people out there that want to hurt kids, and you need to be careful of that without scaring them, and with making sure that you're empowering them, right? So here's what I always tell parents to start with. Number one is that, of course, you need to teach your children about their rights over their bodies, and that means to teach them about body autonomy. And essentially what that is your body belongs to you and no one else. Now, that's all fine and good, but if kids don't actually have the ability to practice what that looks like, feels like, sounds like, practicing consent, because body autonomy is part of consent, but then you also have to teach kids about boundaries, right? What are their body boundaries and how do they implement those? How do they enforce those? If somebody's trying to cross the line of body boundaries, teaching your kid that your body belongs to you isn't enough. You also have to teach them about how to say no, how to tell someone, hey, that's not okay, especially if it's a trusted person. So this is where it comes into talking about predators, because we tend to think that predators are the people that you can tell as a parent, like something's off about that person. I can tell when there's somebody who's near my kid that isn't right, or my kid's gonna know. But here's the reality. Unfortunately, predators use techniques called grooming, and it is a strategy that they use to break down the boundaries of kids by getting kids to trust them, including parents. So if you're the parent, the person who's trying to get access to your child is also going to try to gain your trust. And unfortunately, the truth is that you just don't know. There's no markers that show who is a potential predator. If you look at the news, you think, oh my goodness, like that was the most upstanding person in our community. How could they have done that? I never would have thought, right? And so that's why it's also important to teach kids about things like private parts and obviously aspects of sexuality that, most parents think, well, I don't, my kids too, like, how can I talk to them about sex? Well, you're going to be talking about sexuality that's age appropriate. For a very young child, it's about teaching them about their body parts and using the correct terms, not just using euphemisms that sound cute, but actually telling them what those parts are without getting them to feel any shame about what they are, and also to empower them to know, look, those are parts that belong to you. I mean, most parents have never talked to their boys about what an erection is, right? Because it's like, oh my, why, like you all of a sudden get nervous. Why would I talk to my child about that? Well, it's a normal function of the penis, and most parents just don't know how to approach that. And if kids aren't taught that even something that feels good is inappropriate, then they're not going to know that something is being done by someone that they trust. And so knowing and understanding how to explain these aspects to your child is really important in preventing abuse from happening with someone who is trying to groom your child. Now, this concept of grooming is not something that is really well known to parents. And unfortunately, that's what groomers or pedophiles or even child abusers who are not pedophiles are hoping for, is that parents don't know this information. So it's really important that you are not the type that's just going to put your head in the sand and say, well, I'm just going to overprotect my child. I know everybody who's in my child's life. Well, unfortunately, that's what they're banking on. So it's really important that you educate yourself on what grooming is, what you can do about it, what signs to look for, how to prepare your kids so that they don't become prey, because people who are looking to abuse a child are looking for very specific things in a child. So they're looking for kids that haven't been educated about sexuality, who don't have strong boundaries, who haven't been taught strong boundaries. And teaching about boundaries takes time. It's something that you need to repeat over time with your child. It's not something that you sit down and have a conversation with them once or twice and they got it. Because how many times do you need to tell a kid something before they completely learned it and got it, right? It's not just one or two times. And it's also something that's going to change as the child evolves. Their understanding of something is going to be very different at 2 than it is at 12. So have you been doing this kind of education throughout their life in a comprehensive way? using the right tools and language that is going to empower them to also avoid situations or prevent them altogether. And if they can't prevent them, that they know what to do, that they have safety networks, that they know who to come to, even if they can't come to you. So it's a lot of information. It can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. And so the good news is that there is a lot of information out there that you can access to start empowering yourself. And that brings me to, of course, letting you know about a workshop that I'm doing. It's a masterclass called Child Predator Protection, and it is to explain to parents what grooming is, how they can look for the signs, who is a specific target if you fall into that demographic of targets, and what you can do once you know the information, how to prevent it, what signs to look for, and how to, more importantly, empower your kids so that they can also look out for those signs without terrifying them, but empowering them, right? I always like to say, don't overprotect and under prepare. That's the worst thing that you can do, because long term, it's not going to help your child. So I hope that you take me up on it and sign up for this masterclass. It's going to have such life-saving information for you to know what to do, to educate others in your life as well, other adults, parents. Start creating consent culture, not just in your home, but in your community. And I talk about ways to do that. You can just register at aboutconsent.com/protect. So if you have any questions, even of what I just talked about here, I would love to know. Let me know, put them in the comments. Let me know what struggles you've had. You know, I've had parents who joined the group and said, I'm struggling with how to get my partner to help me with this education because perhaps they are an abuse survivor. So if you fall into that category, you have some kind of trauma history, this class is particularly important for you because unfortunately, you're one of the demographics that gets targeted by predators to try to, you know, if you don't have strong boundaries and you don't know how to teach your child boundaries because yours have been violated in the past, you're at the higher risk factor of the people that get targeted. So make sure that you join if you're in that demographic. This could be really important information for you and your family. So thank you so much for being here, for spending some time. I look forward to seeing you the next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.